Welcome back to Bet Haven, the safe place for safe plays. If you're new here, we are a sports betting enthusiast little duo, primarily focusing on the PGA Tour events, although we do dabble in NHL, NBA, NFL when it comes. It is coming, by the way. Make sure you check out the link in the description of this video. We do have links for all of the sports books where you can access bonus bets and deposit matches across various sports books, as well as links to our social medias where you should be following us. We're starting to put stuff together here, and it's time for people to come along on the ride. Chandler, how you feeling?
I'm feeling good, man. A little disappointed in the end of the U.S. Open. Obviously, I had a Rory ticket. I talked about how I've had a weird feeling that he was going to win, and he did everything but do that. So that was kind of a frustrating end, but happy for Bryson, as a lot of people are, but maybe not as happy as most people.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Happy for Bryson. I texted you on Friday evening or Saturday morning before they teed off. I can't remember. I want to say it was Friday evening. I looked at the live stats on Data Golf and I took a screenshot of it. I sent it to you and I said, look, Bryson had like the most balanced stat profile on, from putting to approach to around the green. Everything was very balanced. And at that moment, I went to BetMGM because I knew I had a $10 bonus bet there, and he was 4-1. Like you can't really get rich unless you spend a ton of money on bets at 4-1. But I threw that $10 bonus bet on Bryson, hit that. I obviously, in the last video I talked about Tony Finau, was all over Tony. Could have been a 4 to 5K weekend.
He was right there, man. At the end of the day, it was one hole. He made a great charge, you could say, on Sunday, but it only made it a little more frustrating, I think, with that charge being that he shouldn't have been. That should have been a charge to like take the lead instead of a charge to get into like T4 or whatever.
So, he was there all weekend, and it was the 13th hole on Saturday. Missed his approach, putts the ball, which I saw him lining up with a putter, and I was like, what are we doing? I don't know if I like this. And sure enough, it goes off the back, into the bunker, then it comes over the top, off the green, and then surely I was like, he's gonna chip this short and it's gonna fall back down. But yeah, after that hole, I literally just had to stop watching. I mean, it was crazy because you knew, like, anytime a guy blew up out there, you knew that he was done. Birdies are so few and far between, or were so few and far between. A triple, it was just like a detriment to anything that you had going as far as like an outright ticket.
Yeah, there was a lot of triples out there to be had too. I mean, there was certain holes that were set up in just diabolical spots. It seemed like as the course dried out, especially on Friday evening, that certain pin locations were almost impossible. I mean, I can recall Brooks trying to make the cut, and he finished on number 9 on Friday afternoon. This is like late in the afternoon. And the course was so cooked out and baked that he hit a perfect shot, like cleared the bunker by like a foot, hit into the fringe, and still rolled over the back of the green to where he had absolutely nothing, had to then try to chip up. He needed to make a bogey or better, I think, to make the cut, or the cut line was actually flirting with whether Scotty was going to make it and those boys were going to make it.
Right.
He then putted it, I think he putted it too far into the bunker and then hit an excellent bunker shot to like 3 feet and then made the putt and ends up making the cut on the number with Scotty. But yeah, that course got baked out late. We saw it on Thursday though. On Thursday, it seemed to be pretty green. Like I wouldn't say it was receptive, but it was green. Like there was not really any like baked out spots where you were like, oh no, it's not going to hold. I mean, we saw on the par 5, actually the 5th hole, that there was that shelf right there that if you didn't get up there, it was going to either roll back to the front or even worse, roll into the bunker or into the wiregrass down there at the bottom.
Right.
We actually got to see Rory chip in right there, which was pretty cool.
Yeah, we were right there when he chipped that in.
Yep, but we got to see some groups go through there. Had an awesome time. Man, it was a long day.
Yeah, it was.
We walked, I don't know if you know, we walked about 8 miles.
Yeah, I looked at my watch afterwards.
There was some stepping going on.
Yeah, there was. And there was just a mass amount of people too. And we didn't discover like the good side of the course to be on until late in the day.
Seemed like it thinned out a little bit later in the day. And yeah, we were in that very crowded area around like holes what was that, 4 or 3, 4,
2, 3, and 4. You know, as
and
you're
like,
going down,
yeah,
3
like
is when like we were coming up on
7
Scotty
coming
and
back.
Rory and Xander, and obviously like everybody was following them. But
yeah, got to
um,
see Tiger. But I mean, like when I
yeah,
say see Tiger, I mean like we were 4 rows deep.
yeah,
Got to see
yeah.
him walk by. Got to see him actually made a great par. Where we saw him on
He played pretty well.
hole 6, the par 3.
The front 9, he played pretty well on Thursday.
He was grinding. He just couldn't quite do it. Couldn't
Yeah.
quite make the cut.
But yeah, no, it was a pretty sweaty Thursday because I had Tony first round leader also. And he got to, I want to say he got to 3 and then had a bogey late. He bogeyed the 18th hole twice, actually, first round and second round. But I had him top 10 after first round, that was a nice little cash that kind of salvaged my day, you know. I had a couple other first round leaders, but his was like, I used the boost on Bet365. I know you saw that. But.
We both ended up okay on Thursday. Like I said, my Thursday was going to be my Sunday. I was going to go heavy on first round leader, and I did have I had like 15 guys or something.
You had 13 actual like.
Yeah, I ended up spending
outrights.
like $100 basically on first round leaders, and then I had Rory who split with Cantlay, which won me about $100.
Yeah.
So I basically washed on Thursday. Actually, basically washed for the entire tournament. I had a bunch of Millie lineups that had a lot of Rory in them, and just adds to the hurt a little bit. I probably would have won. Like I said, I had the ticket that was like $350, and then I probably would have won at least another 100 or so based on those lineups all moving up had Rory won. So yeah, I had about like a neutral week though. Like overall, it seemed like I kind of broke even again. It's kind of back-to-back weeks for me, kind of breaking even, which I guess is fine. I got some entertainment out of it, and we roll on.
Yeah, I'd like to shout out Matthew Pavone for, coming out of nowhere when I've picked him a couple times on this show, and he decided to show up, and he showed up big.
I'm sure he was on the Millie lineup. I didn't even see what the winning lineup was, but I'm sure he was on it.
Well, he was nowhere on my radar, so I can't. It's not like I was like, oh, I had him and then took him off.
Clearly likes tough courses though.
Yeah,
clearly that's like his thing. Tough courses he's just better at. So.
Which this is a longer course too, because I think he won. What did he win? Not American Express.
One of the big ones like early.
He won Farmers, right? Torrey Pines.
I can't remember.
Pretty sure he won Farmers Insurance, and then he placed pretty well at AT&T.
He hadn't even been playing really good like going into this tournament too.
Yeah, no, he's been really bad actually.
His last 4 before it were 49th, 67th, miscut, and then 5th.
Which
the U.S. Open.
Yeah. Anyways, well, obviously we talked about Bryson a little bit on the show, but it was mostly as a, hey, we don't like him that much.
I was not a believer. I didn't think that his short game would hold up, but he did. His short game was good.
He needed it on Sunday too because he wasn't hitting fairways and he was struggling on his approaches. And
also it kind of, we talked about the Wiregrass a lot, and if you end up in there, it could be trouble. And there was a luck factor to it. I was amazed at how often Scotty was able to not be screwed. Like it almost seemed like more often than not, you could hit it in the Wiregrass and actually have a shot. Now I'm not saying it wasn't like a hard shot.
Yeah.
But there was so many times where like Bryson hit it in the Wiregrass and we're like, oh, what's he gonna have this time? And he gets up there and like his stance was maybe a little but he like could get the club on the ball and ended up hit some great shots obviously to get on the green.
It kind of depends. Yeah, is the luck of the draw. I mean, you saw Rory's tee shot on 18. Or was it it was his tee shot on 18 going to the Wiregrass, and he had a little bit more trouble because he was right up against like a bundle of it seemed like Wiregrass. He couldn't get all of it, and it held it up pretty well. Actually,
that was for sure a bad break.
Yeah. So you did see moments like that, but yeah, generally, and it kind of seemed like
we got a terrible break too on Sunday when he made his only bogey on the front on the par 5 fifth, where he literally drove it, or he hit his second shot onto the green and it got to the edge and then rolled back all the way down the hill, missed the bunker, which the bunker would have been actually not that bad of a spot to hit his eagle attempt from. It misses the bunker, rolls around the Wiregrass, and settles in like a hole of sand.
Yeah.
And he had to blast it over the green and then hit it back up on the green and then missed his par putt. That was a terrible break that I can remember. So maybe it was almost the Wiregrass sand stuff around the greens was way worse than the Wiregrass.
Yeah, because you have to get
fairways.
finessey with it. Like you can
Yeah.
muscle it out of the other stuff because you're taking
Yeah.
a full swing at it. But
seemed
when
like-
you got to get finessey and chippy out of that stuff, that's when you
were
get into real
screwed.
trouble.
It seemed like anybody who was greenside with Wiregrass or uneven sand issues, you were in trouble.
Yeah. But overall, great tournament. It makes me really excited for the Open Championship. I think we won't see Rory until then, unless maybe he plays in Genesis Scottish.
Yeah, I think he's going to play Scottish, he said. Yeah, I mean, I feel bad, but I know he feels worse.
Yeah, no.
And I actually, talking about the US, I feel like the ending was kind of, for me, obviously I was emotionally invested, but it was kind of a meh ending. Like it was kind of some drama going on. I'm happy that at least Bryson did hit a golf shot to win the tournament.
right.
But I wanted that, like, at least give me a playoff.
Yeah,
or,
you didn't
or
want to
maybe
see
a
like
Bryson birdie, like make Rory make the par and then have a Bryson birdie or something to win it. It just seemed like,
well, when Bryson missed the fairway on 18, it was like, okay, what's going to happen now?
yeah.
And then he tried to get a line of sight relief, and they wouldn't give it to him because
Which I actually thought he was gonna get.
I thought he was too. Seeing that when I first saw where
he got
it
up there.
was,
Yeah,
I was
because
like-
we had walked right there. We had
Mhm.
walked right by there many times going across the 18th hole. That was one of the main crosswalks for the pedestrians, and you can tell that they got a camera tower right there and a scoreboard, and yeah, that was for sure like potentially in the way.
That was an impossible shot, by the way. You had tree
Yeah, he had
above
a root,
you
He had a root there
and a
too.
root right, like that is, and I literally right before there's no way he doesn't shank this. Like there's no way this doesn't
Yeah.
go right. Because if you catch that root, or I mean, there's just so many different things, and for him to actually make as good of contact as he did was pretty remarkable. But yeah, hitting that shot out of the bunker like that requires just a ton of clutchness, and
It's tough.
he did that.
It's a tough shot. He did luck. Man, I don't want to say luck out, but he did hit it to the perfect spot on the green where it hit the downslope
And
with a little bit of spin. Because
Yep.
when you clip it like that with that much spin, it's gonna spin no matter what. But when it hits the downslope, it jumps so far forward, and it
Yep.
jumped all the way up towards the flag, and then finally checked.
yeah,
So yeah, kind of fortunate in that. But no, he hit a good shot. We got to see Wyndham Clark up close and personal.
yeah.
He had a similar Bryson shot where we were at. That was kinda cool.
Wyndham's on the Olympic team. Did you see that?
I did see that.
A lot of hatred
people
towards
are
that.
hate. Bryson did not qualify because he was not eligible.
Right.
That's why he's not. And I don't know if people know that, but obviously
Well-
Bryson would have made that team over Clark, I would believe.
It's an interesting build. You got Scotty, Xander, Clark, and
I haven't even thought about
Who's the other one?
who would you take over Morikawa?
yeah.
Who would you even take over Clark other than like live guys? Like, I don't even know. Nobody even jumps out to me like, oh yeah, he for sure should have been. I feel like there's a pretty good drop off to that point. Like, who's next in line?
I'm trying to think of guys from last week.
Finau?
Yeah.
Cantlay?
Not Cantlay, man. Cantlay's been terrible. Finau's at least like put some stuff together.
It's probably Finau.
I'd rather have Finau than
It's probably Finau.
Clark.
Yeah, that might be the guy actually that got screwed right there.
All right, well, let's get into this week. Travelers Championship, TPC River
Highlands.
Yeah, there you go. Short course, 6,800-ish yards, a lot different than what we just saw. Shortest course on rotation, I believe.
Yeah, I just played a golf course longer than the PGA professionals are going to play this week.
Yeah, I mean, it's, you've seen some guys that aren't very long do pretty well here, but I think you're going to see maybe different strategies this week from different guys.
I think you'll see a very scattered leaderboard. I
Yeah,
think that you'll
yeah.
see a bunch of different skill
Well, that's
sets
why I
at
like
the
these.
top.
I like these types of tournaments because anybody's capable of doing
Yep.
something. So, we're gonna jump right into the same format. First round leader, favorite play, top 20, and long shot. Since it is a signature event, reduced field this week.
No cut.
No cut. That is the other thing too. There's no cut. So if you're considering somebody, and you're worried about their ability to make cut, you don't have to worry about that. You're going to get
Nope.
4 rounds out of everybody unless they WD, like maybe Hideki does.
Yeah, Hideki or Day or Rory.
Yeah, Roy WD.
Who obviously already did.
But let's just do the same old, Chandler. You can lead us off as you typically do. It's been a while since we've hit an outright first round leader. We've had some splits. We've had some close calls, but we were on a hot streak for a while, and I think it's time for us to get back on it. So why don't you kick it off for us and tell us who you got?
Yeah, I mean, nothing can't be worse than last week with Sung J M, who missed by a million. So we're going to go with one of your guys, actually. We're going to go with Corey Connors.
Love it.
35 to 1 on DraftKings, first round leader. 8,400 on DraftKings. I like him as a DraftKings play as well. He finished T9 last week at the US Open, kind of quiet. Gained across the board throughout the tournament. He even gained putting. When Corey Connors starts gaining putting, watch out.
Yep.
He becomes a real guy. He gained almost a shot per round at the US Open. Gained on approach, like always, about a half a shot. Off the tee, gained a shot, and even around the green a little bit. This week, you're going to need to be, like I said, I think many different skill sets can play this week. But for me, it's approach game, especially from 100 to 150, and then putting. And it's not even like so much strokes gained putting like your average putters. Like I'm looking for like the hot putters, like who can spike one round, who can play above his means. And I think Corey Connors did that a little bit last week, and I think hopefully he can carry that in. But yeah, he's also number 2 in strokes gained approach in his last 24 rounds. And he's even gaining a little bit putting in his last 24 rounds. So Corey Connors for me is my first round leader.
Yeah, I like that. I'm all over Connors this week. He's not going to be on this list. But as far as DraftKings goes, I've already started to build some lineups, and I think he's kind of a staple in all of them. So I like that pick a lot. My first round leader is going to be Viktor Hovland. 25 to 1 on DraftKings. He's currently 28 to 1 on BetMGM, and I had a 33% profit boost on BetMGM, so I got him at 37.24 to 1.
It's a good number.
Yeah, so I'm heavy on that. Victor missed the cut at the U.S. Open. I think he shot like 6 over his first round.
He had a terrible first.
Yeah,
it might have even been worse than that.
I want to say
it's very bad first round.
I think he shot 6 over. No, it was worse than that.
He finished at 6 over.
Yeah, so he shot 7 over because I think he shot 1 under on Friday. If you look at the Friday round though, pull the stats from the Friday round. They're ridiculous. He gained like 3.8 strokes on approach.
He made 6 birdies.
6 birdies. I mean, obviously,
he got
like
a double.
He's one of those guys that like
missed the cut by 1.
Yeah, he's always tinkering. Everybody talks about how good he was last year and how he switched up his swing coaches and all that stuff. And it's like, yeah, he's somebody that is always messing around with his swing and the things that he's doing. But I think that also makes him very aware of like how to fix his issues. So to go from shooting, he shot 7 over.
Mm-hmm.
7 over on
8.
8 over on Thursday.
He shot 8 and then -2.
So yeah, I mean that's just a massive difference. It shows me that he's got the capability to like figure it out what was happening on Thursday, corrected it on Friday, gained a tremendous amount of strokes. I think both putting and on approach. I want to say he was still losing around the green, but I don't care about that as much around River Highlands. So
he was the second highest gainer on approach, 3.75 shots in round 2.
That's crazy.
And he gained over a shot putting as well. His problem was around the greens, as we probably could have predicted.
Yep.
That's what really did him in the end, especially round 1. He really struggled around the greens, but even a little bit in round 2. But yeah, I don't mind that at all. I think that Victor, this could be a great bounce back spot for Victor at a discount.
Yeah, I just think that number, like for the golfer that he is compared to some of the guys around him on the first round leader prop, I mean, I just think that's too high. I think 25 to 1, even as just a baseline, is too high, and you can use all your profit boost and bet boosts on across various books.
He even could be a kind of a contrarian DraftKings play.
He's pretty cheap on DraftKings. 9,300 maybe.
Yeah, it was 93.
That's a low price tag for somebody who's won as much as he has. I don't know what his course history is like. They say that this is like top 10 in stickiest course histories on tour, as far as guys that tend to do well tend to do that over and over again.
Yeah, 2019 54th, 2020 11th, didn't play 21, didn't play 22, and 29th in 2023.
So no miscuts.
No miscuts.
Okay, again, you've got no cut here, so
And I don't mind, like, his struggles clearly are around the green right now, losing over half a shot per round around the green. But this is going to be an approach / hot putter week. And hitting some fairways. You're going to have to hit some fairways too. But yeah, Viktor, he's way up there in approach, gaining 3/4 of a shot per round. And his putting he's gaining a little. So
I feel very good about this pick. And I also want to say that we've been giving out first round leader bets. I haven't hit the outright first round leader in 2 weeks, but 2 weeks in a row, I've taken the person that I've given out as a first round leader and also bet them to finish either within the top 5 or the top 10 after first round. I hit Corey Connors top 5 after first round at RBC Canadian, and I hit Finau last week top 10 after the first round at US Open. I think that's a really good strategy. If you're feeling good about a guy's game or where he's at, I think, you can bet smaller amounts on the outright because you're going to get a bigger number. And then you can take, like I did with Tony, I used a 50% boost on Bet365. He was plus like 650 to be top 10 after round 1 at the US Open. I just felt like that was a ridiculous number.
It's for sure a lot easier to hit a top 10 first round.
Yeah, you're not gonna
first
get so much
like
money.
We put these bets out there for round 1, but round 1 leaders are incredibly difficult to hit. But it's something to cheer for on Thursday.
Yeah, no, it's something that, because you can have a guy that you really like have a good Thursday and then he could fall off the face of the earth throughout the tournament.
Yeah, I wouldn't even recommend first round leader as something that you should be betting every single week, but It is entertaining. It is something to look forward on Thursday, and you can hit it at a massive number, but you can hit outright winners at a massive number too. I think it just gives you an opportunity to hit somebody who can play good, but maybe not win, so you don't have to bet Scotty, freaking anybody could be first round leader and then Scotty could just win in the end.
Right.
That happens fairly often. So it gives you an opportunity to get to different names.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I like Viktor. You like Connors. I think I'll probably slip in Connors maybe and Viktor on a top 10. I think you can parlay him on Fanatics. Not the biggest fan of that book, but you can double up on that. So I'll probably have to get something like that going.
Yeah, we're both on the same kind of strategy, just approach guys. Viktor and Corey are both approach guys, and that's what you're going to need.
All right, favorite play, who you got?
My favorite play is almost everybody's favorite play in the industry this week, it seems like, and that is Russell Henley.
Whoa.
The stats for Russell Henley, this course just freaking is made for him. His course history here, the last 3 years or 4 years, I guess, 2020, 32nd, 2021, 19th, 2022 didn't play, and then last year, 19th. Finished T7 at the US Open last week. He does what you need to do here. He hits a ton of fairways. He has a incredibly hot putter at times, and he's great on approach. The rest of his game, I don't care about. He doesn't have a ton of distance. I don't care. He doesn't. His off the tee game in general is pretty meh. I don't care. You don't really need it this week. Russell Henley, he's gaining, like I said, he's gaining over a half shot per round in both approach and putting. T7 last week. Strokes gained putting last 24 rounds. He's 14th in this field. He's just a course fit is so perfect. 8,600 on DraftKings. That is why he's my favorite play. He is 8,600 on DraftKings. I will have a fairly good amount of them in my lineups. He has been bet down. I think I saw him maybe at 40 or 50 to 1 to start the week. I just checked before we started filming this. He's 28 to 1 on FanDuel. I don't know if that's the best number on him, but that's the number I saw. That's outrageous. That means that a lot of people are betting him, which could be a good thing, could be a bad thing. I don't know. But his DraftKings price doesn't change no matter how many people click his name. So 8,600 on DraftKings. Russell Henley is my favorite play this week.
I don't know what it was, but when doing my research earlier, I came across Russell Henley's name, and whatever I saw, I was just like, yeah, that makes me not want to play him this week. So
he's going to be highly owned. So
yeah,
that's something that if you're like, hey, if you can get away from it, if you feel like he's not your guy, then I would do it just because like so many guys are gonna click his name.
Well, what's his price on DraftKings? Didn't they price him up a little bit?
He's 8,600.
So that's number one.
It's up a little, but I wouldn't say it's like insanity.
Yeah. I was kind of looking around, guys around him, but
he's playing good golf too. I mean, his last couple events: 12th, 10th, 23rd, 27th, 7th.
Yeah, this is going to be an interesting week.
He's playing good, and it's a course fit. I mean, the course fit is
it
really
makes all the sense in the world.
But yeah, he's gonna be popular on DraftKings, but I don't really care. I think he's a good pick. He's still not gonna be the most popular because there's a guy at the top that's still gonna be the most popular.
Is that Scotty?
That's Scotty.
Okay. Well, my favorite play is Ludwig. It's boring, but I kind of created a stat bucket where it was like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 stats that I really just liked. And getting to them was I kind of looked at I went back and looked at previous winners. I looked at Keegan last year. I went to his stat profile from 2023. I kind of saw what he excelled in and, things that I thought would correlate to this course. Just for example, approach from like 125 to 150 and putting, obviously. Ludwig's not the best from that number, 125 to 150 on tour. He rates out at 44th. But looking at what he did at the U.S. Open, he's just kind of a gamer in general, and he fits different courses. He's had success at long courses. He's had success at short courses. I just feel like, he's capable of doing it pretty much anywhere. I don't love his numbers when it comes to the books. The books treat him like he's somebody who's won 10 times on tour, and in reality, he's just not that guy. But his name is always at the top. I think he's 10,300 on DraftKings.
10,200.
200. I don't know what his ownership's going to be.
I don't know either. He's kind of an interesting one. Kind of in a weird spot there.
If he gets to a certain number, if he gets to like 20 plus, I don't know how much I like him at that point.
I don't think he'll get there.
If he doesn't, I would like him to be in like the 16. Cap it out at the 16, and I would feel a lot better about that.
I would guess, 16 is reasonable. I'd say 16 to 18 would be my guess.
I'll play him all the way up to, obviously 18, but 19, 20, you start getting to like, okay, maybe I need to pivot somewhere, whatever.
I don't think he'll get there because I think Scotty's going to be really popular this week. And even if people don't pick Scotty, they're probably going to pick Xander. And it's really hard to start with Scotty or Xander and then also pick Aubert right after that. You're going to burn through every dollar you have trying to do that lineup. So yeah, I think he might actually be in a good spot as far as pricing goes.
He's third on tour in total driving. He's like 43rd in putting, but in his last 12 rounds in the field, he's like 12th in putting. And then I want to say he's like 7th in birdie or better percentage, or maybe 13th, something like that. Anyways, he's just a guy who can get birdies. You're going to need to score here. This is a scoring tournament. I think Keegan won at 23 under last year.
I don't know the number.
I'm almost positive it was 23 under.
This is definitely that's another thing we really didn't mention too much. That this is a birdie course. Like, you're going to have to make birdies here. This is not a grinded out U.S. Open Memorial type course. Like, you're gonna have to make some birdies.
Yeah, you want to find a guy that birdie or better percentage is kind of an important stat for me. And like I said, I think he's 13th in it in his last on tour right now, and I'm not sure what he is in the last 12 rounds. That's typically what I use. I'm trying to find like.
Well, I found a great stat for you.
Let's do it.
Ludwig Aubert is number 1 in 2024 in birdie or better percentage from 125 to 150.
Ladies and gentlemen,
you know who's second?
This is your sign to bet Ludwig Aubert to win this tournament.
Number 2 is Viktor Hovland.
Okay, so we got a Ludwig win and a Viktor Hovland first round leader parlay. What's that going to pay out? Big money.
$1 million.
I'll do it. I'm not scared.
Yeah. Aubert is the only thing I would say is he's so good off the tee that's almost neutralized this week a little bit. More so than usual. Like I said, distance not as important here. But he hits the fairway, a decent amount too. So I just think that you're taking away one of his weapons when you take away. This course is not going to allow him to use that as much. But having said that, yes, his putting last 24 rounds, he's like 8th in this field. And approach, he's like 5th in this field.
He hit a shot.
So he fits, like course fit is pretty good, but you're just taking away the driver essentially as a weapon.
Yeah. I mean, this is not relevant to this tournament at all, but he hit a shot at the US Open. It was from like 283 yards and he hit it to like 6 feet.
Yeah. No, dude is
the
good.
Dude's ridiculous.
I will say this is kind of it's kind of weird to say, but this is almost like a make it or break it spot for him as far as the injury goes, because he's played pretty good now back-to-back weeks. This is the 3rd week in a row on a potential injury.
I think
Can he produce again?
I think
Can
it's
he
a
show up
non-factor.
again? If he does show up again, then obviously we can say the injury is whatever. It's not even a thing. But 3 weeks in a row, a lot of walking around, a lot of swings. Maybe it shows up here. Maybe it doesn't. I don't know.
And that would be like, if you're going to fade him, that would be like a very solid reason. Like you still don't have full proof that he's 100% okay and can make it through another tournament without it bothering him. But, I don't have any issues with what I've seen over the last 2 weeks. So I'm on him again this week.
All right. I like it.
What we got? Top 20?
Top 20.
Run it.
All right. Top 20 this week for me is one of my guys. It's JT Poston. This is a JT Poston course as well. This is another course fit kind of move for me here. JT Poston top 20 plus 200 on DraftKings. He has 7,300 on DraftKings as well. Stat for me that I love. He finished T32 at the US Open, which is pretty good considering we don't really think of JT Poston as like an upper echelon guy, but to finish T32 at the US Open, that's a pretty good result for him, I think.
Yeah.
Grinded it out. His stats were across the board. I think he actually gained just a little bit, basically everywhere. But the stat that jumped out for me was birdie or better percentage from 125 yards or less. He is number 5 in this field. Like we just said, you're going to need to make some birdies. You're going to have a lot of approach shots between 100 yards and 150 yards. So any stat like that for Obear Hovland, like we just talked about, but JT Poston 125 or less, obviously a great wedge player who can convert those birdie putts. We have seen that he can be a very hot putter at times. So give me JT Poston top 20.
Yeah, I didn't really expect him to do anything last week. We saw him on hole number 1.
We did.
Yeah. And
thought about yelling "Go Cats" at him, just to see, just rep the catamounts.
Yeah.
But I was like, I don't know. It doesn't feel like
it was pretty quiet at that point.
It was pretty quiet.
Yeah.
He would have been like, "Yo, what's up with that drunk dude over there?"
Exactly. I don't hate it. Poston's been fairly consistent. Like you said, this is a course that does set up well for him.
Sets up a hell of a lot better than the US Open does for him.
Yeah. No, it makes sense for him to, if he can do it there, he can do it here. So I like Poston, and my guy is going to be the same person it was last week, and that's Sam Burns.
Burnsy boy. He was a great pick. I had him on some DraftKings, and obviously, you were on him. That was arguably one of the best picks we had last week.
Burns started off
good too.
Horrible. He started off really bad.
Mm-hmm.
And then he went like stupid through his last 50-something holes.
He must have known I had a little bit of first round action on him.
He's like, I'm going to coast, and then I'm going to hit the gas.
Mm-hmm.
No, he played incredible through the weekend. Well, really starting, I want to say it was like his...
Starting Friday.
Started Friday, and then he was there, and he finished top 10. I think it's his best finish in a major.
Yep. T9 was his finish. One of the best scores on Sunday, 3 under.
One of the things I said when I picked him, it was kind of comparable to what I said about Max Homa at the Masters. I said he's too good of a golfer to have these types of finishes at these events. And sure enough, he got his highest finish at a major thus far. And it's not like he was doing things that is out of the ordinary for Sam Burns. I mean, gained with the putter, and he showed. You're gonna have to pull the stats up, but I did look at him earlier, and I want to say the approach numbers varied from round to round, but overall gainer across the board in most of the stats. So I just feel like this is a good spot for him. He typically putts better on Bermuda, but these greens are bent grass with POA. I think they're bent with POA mix, but they play more like bent than they do POA because it's not the same as the POA out, in Cali and stuff. They get super bumpy and whatnot. They play a little bit more like bent grass. He's shown the ability to putt on bent grass as well. So I'm not super worried about him being Bermuda Burns. But
yeah, his round one really was hurt by his putting.
Yeah, which is crazy.
He was great on approach in round one, gained over 2 shots, but lost almost 2 shots on the greens. But for the event, he gained 1.75 strokes gained putting per round. That's his average. So obviously, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, he was putting his face off.
Yeah.
So
what was his approach?
His approach varied. Like I said, round one was great. But overall, he was actually neutral for the week. So it seemed like he never really got everything going at the same time. He would either have an okay approach and then an amazing putting, or, let's see. Actually, round 4, he might have kind of finally put it all together. No, he actually lost a little bit on approach, but then was amazing around the greens. So
what
he
I'll
never
say,
really put everything like in one round completely together, and he
Right.
still finished in the top 10.
So obviously he had a little spike with the around the greens on round 4. And typically that would kind of turn me off of a guy. But I think the difference is here is the approach shots are going to be coming from a different number at this course than they were in Pinehurst. From 125 to 150, he's like 34th in approach. That's not the best number, but it's good enough. Total driving, he's 8th. Last 12 rounds, he's 15th in putting, total putting, and his birdie or better percentages, he's 7th on tour. He's starting to, it's like you said, he can't quite put it all together, but he's showing flashes to where I think if he syncs it up, it's going to be something pretty spectacular.
Yeah, you could argue that once he puts it all together, it's going to be lights out.
Yeah.
Because if he's kind of mix and matching things right now and he got a top 10 at the U.S. Open, if he puts a putting round together with an approach round, yeah, it could be the lead.
Yep.
So I like it.
And, that could burn me.
Burns
could burn me, but
what was his number?
plus 100 on DraftKings is what I saw.
Plus 100.
I did think it was kind of interesting because his outright number is down to like 28 to 1, which is pretty up there as far as he goes. Like he probably hasn't been that high in a while.
Mm-hmm.
But his top 20 was still at plus money, so I thought that was kind of
his DraftKings price really skyrocketed too. He's 9,000 this week.
Yeah.
Where last week I believe he was
74.
sevens. He was like mid or low sevens. Yeah. So DraftKings really.
I think the value.
boosted him
I think the value
immediately.
comes from plus money at a top 20. I feel like that's all things considered when you see what his actual numbers gone to and what the DraftKings DK price.
I would
has gone
definitely
to.
love him way more on DraftKings if his price was like in the 8s or low 8s.
I mean, maybe
9,000.
maybe some people get pushed away
9,000
by
is
that.
tough.
So I don't. Obviously, you don't want to spend up if you don't have to, but I think there's plenty of opportunity.
Like,
to
what are
squeeze
you
him in.
what are you gonna do there if you get down to it? You going? There's a lot of guys in that range that you obviously like.
in the 9K range?
Yeah, that like upper 8, low 9. Like, do you spend the extra 300 and get Hovland?
I don't have Hovland on DraftKings this week.
Really? Okay. Do you have Finau?
No,
Because he's 8-9, so it's another guy. It's like, well, do you?
I'm off of
Spin
Finau
that.
this week, and I don't know if you are on him at all, but we can talk about. Let's finish this and then we'll talk about Finau.
Okay.
So where are we at? We just did top 20, and now we've got our long
you
shot.
need my long shot, and my long shot might be the pick that I'm most excited about.
I'm pretty excited about mine too, to be honest,
Really? All right, go.
because I also have him first round leader.
Oh, well, that's a spoiler. Okay. My long shot this week at 100 to 1 on FanDuel. At least he was.
Cam Young.
Tom Hoagie. Hoagie has been like so up and down, and people actually have been like riding him pretty hard, expecting when's he going to win? When's he going to win? He's playing so good. And now people are going to be off of him. Nobody's picking this dude. I love him for DraftKings. $7,000 on DraftKings. We know what Hoagie is. He's an approach monster. And his approach hasn't been as monstrous as it was probably 3 weeks ago.
Yeah.
But he's still gaining over a half a shot per round on approach in his last 24 rounds. And even more importantly, he is number 1 in 125 to 150 in 2024. And he's number 2 in this field from 100 to 125. He is 9th in this field from less than 125 birdie or better percentage. His putting has been a slight loser, but not like too concerning. His results have been kind of up and down, but his for him to be 100 to 1 here, I love, because I believe that this course fit is going to fit pretty well, given that he is an amazing approach player, but he is really dialed from 100 to 150.
Yeah. Where's the last time we saw him play well?
So the
RBC
reason
Heritage.
the reason I think people are going to be off of him is because he missed the cut at the U.S. Open. But I think that the fit for the U.S. Open was bad.
Well,
like I wanted nothing to do with him.
I sent you that video, and I'm 99% sure it was Tom Hoagie. And I don't know who posted the video, but it was somebody was filming during the practice round, and it was a golfer hitting putts from off the green, and they hit 3 of them, and they all came back. I'm 99% sure it was Tom Hoagie.
It might have been, but he did lose 1.73 shots around the green in his 2 rounds that he played.
He couldn't figure out how to putt from off the green, and that's what killed him.
He missed the cut by 3, but still gained on approach, still gained off the tee, neutral putting. It was literally just around the green. Like, he could not figure it out.
What's his course history here? I do think that Tom Hoagie may be a little under the radar, more so than he has been in recent events, but
course history is nothing to brag about. He has played here multiple times. I'll say that he's played here the last 5 years. 80th, which means he must have made the cut and finished last of the guys.
Yeah.
37th, 66th, miscut, 60th. So he's clearly had some issues on the weekend. It seems like he's made the cut 4 out of the 5 times, but then has had issues on the weekend.
So your hope here is that it's a no cut event.
My hope here is that he is
a 4 solid rounds.
Yes, and that he's a great contrarian play on DraftKings, because he just missed the cut at the U.S. Open at a course that I don't believe was a good fit for him. But if you look at his results recently before the miscut, 41st, 38th, 23rd, 17th, 45th, and then miscut at the U.S. Open. We get him at a discounted price here with less ownership at a course that I believe fits better for his game. He also has great driving accuracy, which is going to be a key stat this week. So, yeah, as far as a long shot play and a contrarian DraftKings play, my guy is Tom Hoagie.
Okay. Mine's not quite that far as long shots go, but my pick is going to be Shane Lowry. Shane Lowry is 65 to 1 to win on DraftKings. I think that number is pretty outrageous. You're going to have to pull the stats up from last week, but I want to say he was either a slight gainer with the putter or he had like a crazy spike putting round on the final round. One of those two is true. But as far as the other stats go, Shane Lowry is 16th in total driving and 32nd in total putting over his last 12 rounds, showing improvement or signs of improvement from his 105th ranking in total putting on tour.
Yeah, he was a gainer for the week. He averaged 1.33 strokes gained putting. He
gained 1.33 strokes
per
putting?
round. Yep. So that was his average per round. He gained across the board. Actually, gained a little bit off the tee, a little bit on approach, a little bit around the green. His actually best gain stat was putting. Had a good Sunday too. 1 under on Sunday. Ended up finishing T19.
That is also the reason I have him to finish inside the top 5 after round 1. On Bet365, I use the, I don't know what the profit boost was, but slap that in there. I feel like I feel like
usually a 30% boost.
yeah. Well, I think last week they did 50% because it was
They do that every now and
yeah.
then. Yeah.
But yeah. Anyways, Shane Lowry has shown the ability to be up there in contention. Now, I think earlier in the season he had a couple tournaments like I want to say Cognizant where he was kind of there on Sunday and then fell off, but it's coming for him. We're seeing his name more often than not recently. And I think he finished here maybe T19 here last year.
Yep.
And I want to say he had a decent first round, but like 64 in the first round, something like that. Whether he hits that first round top 5 or not, I just feel like 65-1, it's worth a little 10 spot. You know, you can.
Yeah, I don't mind him because just looking at his stuff recently, he has been all over the place.
Mm-hmm.
And when I say all over the place, like I mean like in between the tournaments, like during the tournament, like one round is great, one round is terrible, one round is great. His finishes over his last 5 tournaments are all fairly consistent: 47th, 6th, 33rd, 49th, 19th. So there's some consistency there. But if you really deep dive it and you go into his round by round, I mean, we're talking we're gaining here, we're losing here, we're gaining here. And we're talking some massive numbers too. I mean, we've seen him lose 3 shots putting per round and then gain 6 shots on approach and like some crazy stuff in between the rounds. So as far as a round 1, yeah, I like it. And, you know, you can also say that you're guaranteeing 4 rounds out of him. So if 1 round or 2 rounds is great, he's going to really light it up in DraftKings points during those rounds.
Yeah. No, I looked at, you know, that same kind of stat lines that I was looking for in my other picks, and he aligned with the majority of them. I think one of the ones that he kind of struggles with, let's see what it was.
He gained almost 2 shots putting in round 1, but lost almost 2 shots around the green.
So birdie or better percentage on tour, he's 65th. I don't know if that number's improved in his last, you know, I like to narrow it down to the last 12 rounds to see if anybody's kind of trending in a different direction. But that obviously this is a birdie fest. You want to find guys that can score, but I think 65th on tour isn't like dead in the water. I think that, you know, he can still post numbers if he needs to.
Yeah, like the 3rd round, he gained almost 3 shots around the green. Let's see his round 4 real quick. Round 4, he was. Yeah, round 4 monster approach day.
It was like 4.8.
He gained 3.58 on approach, and then lost almost 2 around the greens, and then gained a shot putting. So we're just talking about some massive up and down swings. Because in round 1, I believe he lost, or round 2 he lost a shot and a half on approach, but then he gained 3.5 on the final round. So yeah, I mean, as a first round, I don't mind it. You're going to get 4 rounds out of the guy, so that's good news. Yeah, he's risky, but with 4 rounds, maybe not as risky.
Right. Yeah, high risk, high reward.
Could be
65-1 Shane Lowry, and it's you can shop that number. I bet you can get him to like 70.
Probably. I haven't obviously looked at all. He's not really been on my radar, but I'm gonna have to check it out.
All right, that's the board. I think this is a good chance to talk about some guys that we aren't exactly posting. I'm gonna kick us off with this one if you don't mind.
Okay.
Nick Dunlap. I have bet Nick Dunlap to win first round leader, and I'll tell you why. One of the kind of weird correlating stats that I found with guys that had low first round last year in this tournament. So Denny McCarthy was first round leader last year at the Travelers. He shot 10 under. A couple other notable names. Adam Scott shot 8 under at the first round last year at Travelers. In that deep dive of Keegan and, you know, what he had done, he was in like the top 25 of putts per round for round 1. Now that's a really like reach, grab, pull a stat, but
Yes, it is.
Nick Dunlap is within that top 25 of putts per round for the first round. And on Friday, he's finishing on the par 3 ninth hole He was even for the tournament, or even for the day, and I want to say 2 over, 4, 3 over. Yeah, he was having a decent round. Anyways, he misses the green, goes off the green into the bunker, maybe goes back over the green. I mean, if you look at his shot tracer, it's insane looking.
I do remember that it was a heartbreaker to miss the cut.
Missed the cut on the number
because he missed it by 1.
So then he had to have been
missed it by 1.
He had to have been 3 over and even on his round.
Yeah,
I'm almost positive that's what it was. 3 over for the tournament, even on the round. Triples his last hole to finish outside of the cut by 1.
Yep.
I looked at the rest of the stats and I don't remember them exactly, but I want to say they weren't terrible. He's a pretty good putter.
He gained 0.64 putting, gained 0.25. This is per round. Gained 0.25 around the greens, lost 0.89 on approach, and gained 0.8 off the tee.
And is that for the 2 rounds?
That is the 2 round.
Go to the
average.
second round.
And yes, he was +6, which means he missed it by 1. Second round, he was kind of similar. He gained 0.9 putting, lost a shot around the greens, and basically neutral on approach and off the tee.
Yeah, he
finished +3. So it was +3, +3 were his rounds.
I don't know what he did at the American Express. I think he won that tournament, obviously. I don't know what he did in the first round is what I mean to say. But
yeah, number 9. I'm telling you, number 9 in the afternoon. Was that afternoon?
Yeah.
On Friday. That's what I'm telling you. That pin was insanity. So many guys struggled right there because you couldn't hold the green. You couldn't hit it high enough with enough spin to hold the green there. So you always ended up either short in the bunker, which honestly was probably the better spot, or you would literally bounce over the green and your next shot was impossible. Your next shot to get it up to the pin was impossible. You were either going to leave it short and it was going to come back to your feet, or you were going to hit it too far into the bunker on the other side.
I think he's and again, his number's like massive. That's why I like this mostly. I want to say it's like 80 to 1. And I've already bet that. But there was just deep diving these kind of random stats. Like I said, putts per round, first round, he's up there on that. It seems like he's trending on approach. It's taken some time for him to get used to the professional side of the golf world after the win. But
seeing him in person, he looked like a professional golfer.
Yeah, no, he has
that look about him. He looks this
poised.
Guy could be good.
Yeah,
this guy could be legit.
We watched him make a birdie on what I don't know. Was that the first hole?
It was it might have been right out the gate for him.
Yeah, because
it was. Yes, it was.
Right before he made that putt, I made first round leader bet on Nick Dunlap.
He hit the fairway and then he stuffed it into 10 feet and made the birdie putt, and it was like, who's that? And then that's when we realized, like, no, that's Nick Dunlap. He looks like a legit guy. 6,600 on DraftKings this week.
I don't know if I like him for the tournament, but I could see it. I mean, Pete Dye course is what River Highlands is, and he won at American Express, which they play. What Pete Dye? Which course is that? It's a Pete Dye course. I want to say.
I can't remember. But he does have small gains last 24 rounds on approach and putting. So off the tee, slight loser. Around the green, slight loser. Driving accuracy, maybe a little bit of a concern.
I think he's becoming more accurate though. If you narrow it down to the last 12, I think it gets a little bit better, but I could be wrong about that.
6,600. So you are kind of, obviously you're diving down here looking for somebody.
Yeah, I don't know if he's a DK play. He might be, because you are getting the 4 rounds regardless.
You're gonna get 4 rounds out of him, and you're gonna have to get to somebody down here. If you're gonna go with the guy I want to talk about, look at that transition, is Scotty Scheffler. Scotty Scheffler is going to be massively owned this week, and should be. 12,500 DraftKings is actually less than he has been.
Oh, was he 13 last week?
He was. I don't know what he was last week, but I know the last shortened field was Memorial, I believe. He was definitely like 13 or something like that. So 12,500, you're actually getting a slight discount here. And Scotty was awful last week, right? He was terrible.
No,
he was a mess.
He was bad at putting, I think, is like
he was
the only
terrible.
thing he lost in.
Yeah, wrong, dude. He's not terrible.
Maybe you're not listening to what I'm saying.
He was fourth in the entire field. Strokes gained on approach 1.52 per round gaining. He finished T41, I think the sentiment on him is maybe that was a terrible tournament, but I just wanted to bring it to your attention that he was still fourth in the field on approach on his average. And he was still gaining tee to green. 2.28 was his average per round. So yes, it was for sure the putter, minus 1.5 shots per round, 2 over on the final round. He was just kind of meh, but there is absolutely no reason for concern. There is no reason to not immediately go back to him. I know I will on DraftKings. He is an approach monster. He is number 1 in this field from 100 to 125 yards on approach. He is number 2 in this field, less than 125 birdie or better percentage. He's that guy. This is an approach course, and he's the approach guy. Way better fit this week. I did not think that Pinehurst was going to be a good fit for him, which turned out to be true. You did not need to pick him, obviously, on DraftKings. If you didn't, that was a great play, especially if you went to Bryson or, McIlroy or Finau or whatever. Yeah, I'd go right back to him.
I don't hate it. I mean, obviously, it's just boring talking about him over and over again. And I'm not saying I enjoyed him not being at the top, but I wouldn't mind somebody else doing it this week.
I understand what you're saying.
It's going to be really frustrating.
He's probably going to show right back up here at a better course fit. I think that was his first time to Pinehurst as well. So that's part of the reason he probably didn't play as well. Pinehurst definitely is a course that you have to be, and Bryson proved, you have to be very methodical. You have to really think out your shots, your angles. You obviously have to have some finesse around the greens. Not that Scotty around the green is bad. He's actually fairly good. But, I think seeing it for the first time, it wasn't the best setup for him. He even mentioned something about he was not a fan of the wire grass / waste area with the sand. He'd much rather be out of rough. Well, good news, bud. You're getting rough this week. It's not even going to be that bad of rough. You get to go out there and try and make a ton of birdies and be an approach monster like normal.
How do you feel about Xander?
Xander was number 2 in the field, strokes gained approach. Tony was number 1, by the way. I feel like this is a great fit for Xander as well, because this is an approach course. Xander's been great on approach, and Xander's been also really good putting. And I just don't. It's a coin flip at the top for me almost. I'm gonna go Scotty. I know I am. But it's a good fit for Xander too. I mean, he freaking grinded, dude. Like, he did not have his best stuff, it didn't look like, and he still finished T7. He still was a gainer basically across the board on average. Yeah, dude, just like he's a freaking grinder. He is playing some damn good golf right now. But I guess if you don't want to go to Scotty, you maybe start with Xander.
I think
getting a pretty good discount on DraftKings.
I think Xander will be very comparably owned to Scotty this week because of the Rory WD.
You know what? I hope so, because I would love to have Scotty at a discounted percentage.
I don't know if it'll be Xander could possibly be the most owned golfer this week.
I don't think so.
You don't think so?
No.
How close do you think they'll be as far as ownership goes?
Not that close. Scotty's going to be like 40.
Again?
Yeah. Dude, you got a shortened field here, and you're getting a discount on him. He's going to be like 40, and Xander's going to be like 26.
You don't think Rory WD at $300 more will push more people to Xander just below him? Not enough.
Maybe.
Not enough to
maybe,
be
but yeah, not
range.
enough. Not enough. No. I think Morikawa is going to be fairly popular. I think it's going to be.
I don't know how I feel about Morikawa.
It's going to be like Scotty, Xander, Morikawa, Henley.
Why is Morikawa's course history so bad here? It should be really good.
It should be good. I'm not sure. This dude's going to win soon, right? Like, it just seems like he just shows up and shows up and shows up. His last couple events: 9th, 23rd, 16th, 4th, 2nd, 14th.
Maybe the Open Championship.
Like, dude is balling. 9,800 on DraftKings. Yeah, hits a ton of fairways. I think he might be number 1 in this field. Driving accuracy. Putting great. 0.6 shots per round putting his last 24 rounds. Approach has been, he's not an approach monster, but he's gaining. He's in the top 20 in his last 24 rounds. I don't know.
How important is putting?
Top of the board is tough this week, dude.
How important is putting to you this week?
Very.
Okay. I'm going to give you some stats, and I want you to tell me whether you would pick this person off of these stats. Total driving, 23rd. Total putting, 7th. Total putting in his last 12 rounds, 7th. Birdie or better percentage, 27th. 3-putt avoidance, 16th.
Yeah, those are good stats. Again, on total driving, I don't really care as much, and 3-putt avoidance, I don't care as much. But yeah, you're gonna need to put, like, for me, it's approach and putting. So you didn't mention any approach stuff, so obviously it's approach stuff.
So who is
Not
that?
so
Who
good.
is that golfer?
Mackenzie Hughes,
No,
Danny McCarthy.
Jason Day.
Good eye.
Jason Day has been horrible on approach. I mean, absolutely horrible. But if you look at, okay, let's get rid of total driving. He's 10th in putting on tour in his last 12 rounds. He's 7th. Approach from 125 to 150. He's 154th on tour.
Yeah, Day has been.
But nobody's going to be on him, and he's $7,400 on DraftKings.
He's been inconsistent. He hasn't even been bad. Like, to say he's been bad is not true. Like, I mean, maybe on approach specifically, sure.
Yeah, no, he's been really bad on
But-
approach. But
Like, his results are not that bad. 18th, 59th, 4th, 43rd, 33rd, and then missed cut at the U.S. Open. Course history, 8th, 46th, 10th, missed cut, 45th.
you're giving me 4 rounds out of a guy that has 2 top 10s and is really, really
I will
good
say
at
this.
putting
And
and $7,400 on DraftKings.
DraftKings contests this week are going to be won by your decisions between 7,800 and 7,300.
Well, he's right there at 7,400.
That's what I'm saying. That's where these tournaments on DraftKings are going to be won. You know, Homa, Lowry, Scott, Clark, On, Young, McCarthy, Siwoo, Bez, Day, Billy Ho, Poston, Akshay. Like, those are the guys. Like, which 2 guys are you picking out of that group?
On and Day.
Oof, that's gonna. I tell you what, you're gonna be different.
Right. That's why.
Those might be the 2 lowest owned out of that group.
I'm going to those 2 guys because I feel like it's my chance to get some ownership leverage.
Like, if you're going putting, you got to go Denny and Bez.
Denny will be owned.
Even Billy. Wow, look at Billy Ho. Although approach has been bad.
Yeah.
Billy Ho and Day are the same guy right now. Gaining 0.9 last 24 rounds putting, losing 0.4 on approach last 24 rounds.
But look at the results. The result.
Fairly good for both of them.
Well, for Billy, they're quite a bit better. I think he's got
Yeah, especially like his last 4.
right.
8th, 24th, 15th, 41st. 2 missed cuts here, though. No course history. No good course history.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, 2020 miscut, 2023 miscut. So,
Yeah, I'm gonna be on Day. I don't love it, but it is what it is.
like I said, this is the range. This is the range where contests are going to be won and lost, because some of these guys are going to miss they're not going to miss the cut. Some of these guys are going to finish towards the very back. Some of these guys are going to be in the top 10.
Yeah. Is there anybody in particular that we haven't talked about? I mean, Homa. I've got no thoughts on Homa right now.
Yeah, no, I can't. This is the lowest price he's been in a very long time.
Yep.
So that's something to consider. Course history here is terrible. 4 miscuts in a row. So no good course history, no good feels there. I'm trying to think of guys. Yeah, I don't know. It's tough at the top, like the very top, like the top 4 guys or so, 4 or 5 guys. And then, yeah, you're going to win and lose tournaments in this mid 7,000 range. If you value putting like I do, you're probably going to end up with some McCarthy and some Bezadenhout and some Poston and some Harris English.
We didn't talk about your guy,
Akshay.
Brian Harman. No love for Harman this week?
I will sprinkle Harman. I think he might be over-owned this week because course history is through the roof. Eighth, miscut. Fifth, eighth, second. Woof. Last 5 events, 47th, 26th, 24th, 33rd, 21st. He's gaining across the board. He hits fairways.
He'll finish like 18th.
He just obviously finished T21, I believe, last week. So yeah, I mean, I think he's going to be over-owned. I think he's going to be a little too owned for me. But I will sprinkle him on DraftKings, 8,300.
Yeah, priced up a little bit.
It's a good course fit. Obviously, he loves the course. I mean, we're talking 3 straight top 10s. But anytime I see good, like, past results, I know that a lot of people put a lot of weight into that,
Right.
and it almost scares me off of them a little bit because I know that they're going to be very highly owned.
Yeah,
So for me, that's what's keeping me from like hammering him and being like, oh yeah, this is for sure my guy.
Yeah, I'm not gonna have any Harmon this week, but
Yeah, I'll have him on some. Like I'm back in so I did Millie lineups last week. Basically broke even. I think I had like 6 of 6 lineups. Like 4 of those had Rory. Not saying that if Rory had won, I would have won $1 million because that unfortunately wasn't going to happen, but I would have been closer to winning $1 million.
yeah.
But this week I'm back in the $10 18 max. Took some of my money out and we're leaving that in there to do that again. So yeah, we're gonna max enter. Always max enter, whatever you're doing. And yeah, we'll see. Gonna have some Scotty and gonna have those guys I mentioned, Connors, Henley, Poston, Hoagie.
Victor Hovland first round.
Victor, you've got the boomer bust guys covered.
Because it's no cut. Like, what do you?
It's
a perfect time to play somebody that's a boomer bust golfer with a chance to get some ownership leverage.
Four bets, yes.
Yeah.
4 bets.
Not always on DraftKings, but sometimes there's crossover. It just kind of depends.
Yeah,
and it
an
depends
extent.
on how they're priced mostly.
Yeah, I'm concerned about pricing, ownership, stuff like that always. But yeah, I mean, you've got the boomer bust guys covered. Freaking, what'd you say? Hovland, Lowry, Burns, and who was your last guy?
Well, favorite play was. Wow, I already forgot.
Oh my God, he's off the rails.
Aubert.
Bear.
Because
That's
it's
another.
boring.
Yeah, another boomer bust guy. Yeah, I don't know. I guess we'll see. Yeah, you got the boomer bust guys covered. I probably have the safer plays covered. But
This
that's
is the safe place for safe.
But
plays.
that's kind of us in a way. I'm more DraftKings than bets usually,
yeah.
and I feel like you're probably a little bit more on the bets than the DraftKings.
I will say this: I am now positive for 3 weeks in a row on DraftKings, like DFS
lineups. Okay,
Yeah. And that I don't know if that's ever happened in the history of my DraftKings daily fantasy sports. I mean, I'm actually starting to string stuff together because I'm looking at it differently. I'm looking at it like from the bet perspective and then taking the same stat lines and that kind of stuff and comparing it to pricing and just building it in a more.
I think these have been really helpful for both of us, just talking through everything and getting some different ideas. Like you mentioning Burns, like Burns really wasn't on my radar at all. But
Come on, man.
I'm gonna have to look
All
into
aboard
it
the
now.
Burns train.
Like I said, I don't love his price, but
No, he's definitely priced up, but
that might hurt his ownership. So it's something to consider.
Yep. All right. Well, if you guys are still listening, number 1, we appreciate you. Number 2, make sure you like and subscribe if you're watching on YouTube, and make sure you like the podcast if you're listening on Spotify. If you didn't know we were on Spotify, you can check the link in the description of the video and make sure you follow us there because that's important.
Yeah, we got to get the follows up. We got to get the likes up.
Listen,
the
this
reviews.
is a time-consuming process.
We got to come on.
Yeah, because we want
Let's
to pump
go.
out the content, but it's definitely a little bit harder. But I'm gonna try to get more consistent with it. But I need your help. We need your help because if there's no reason to keep doing this. I'll keep betting because it's working right now. But
Yeah, no, I don't mind it actually. We're talking through stuff. We're getting after
this
it.
gives me something to do with my
It
Tuesday
helps.
afternoon.
Yes. Sometimes getting over here is easier than others on Tuesday afternoons.
Yep.
But no, I'm enjoying it. I hope you guys are too. And yeah, make sure you just do what you can for us, especially if you're a regular at this point.
Yeah, even if you don't like listen, but you're like, a friend of ours or a fan of ours, whatever,
Yeah.
just throw a like on the video. You don't even
Yeah.
have to watch it. I won't fault you for not watching it. It might not be your type of content. You might never bet on sports in your entire life. But if you are a personal or professional friend of mine, then just throw a like out there.
There's certain guys out there that love to comment stuff, so they should definitely be commenting on videos and, you know, say something nice about the show.
Yeah, or about two gentlemen hosting it.
Yep.
We appreciate you as always, and good luck this weekend. We'll see you next week.